This is one of the best discs that you've never heard of. And these are some of the best rubber discs that we've ever thrown. Yet these two brands have flown completely under my radar. Until now. So despite exploring and throwing over 68 different brands in our videos, allow me to introduce the Ozone Discs Andro C and the Shore Break and Swell from Third Coast Discs. And these are our first impressions. Hey everyone, it's Greg from Six Sided Discs. When we started our first impression series, disc golf was at peak post-COVID growth. There were new brands and discs popping up faster than baby bunnies in the springtime. But now that growth has leveled off, we're starting to see more smaller manufacturers close their doors than we are seeing new ones. I mean, just in our last video, we talked about a couple manufacturers that had gone out of business or had recently come back from the dead. And I didn't really expect to find many new brands to look at in our first impression series. That was until I came across this Reddit post. Ozone Discs is back. Ozone Discs. Who the heck is Ozone Discs? Well, it turns out their story is actually quite interesting. They got their start with a pretty crazy idea. They planned to make discs with removable, screwable weight inserts that would allow you to change the weight distribution in your disc from the center of the disc all the way to the rim. And if that sounds like a kind of crazy idea, it's because it is. They drafted some initial prototypes, but after lengthy discussions with the PDGA would not approve the inserts that could be swapped out at any time. Instead, those inserts would have to be permanent. The PDGA was specifically concerned about players passing a disc check and then changing weight during the event, something they weren't prepared to regulate. Back to the drawing board, Ozone came up with two options. Either come up with a design that allowed the permanent weights to be attached but still movable, or create a single mold that could potentially fly in different ways. Option 2, a disc that would fly in different ways, would be achieved by making a single mold that could be made in different ways. For example, one version with foam in the center and heavy rubber on the outside, or one the other way around, giving it different weight distribution and therefore a different flight. And while testing prototypes, things seemed promising. So Ozone partnered with a manufacturer to produce the discs at scale. They flew great, but they began to run into issues. The inserts would sometimes come out on hard impacts, and that's essentially because they were held in place with adhesive rather than being mechanically attached. And since this was Ozone's first disc and the challenges began to mount, both in terms of the inserts themselves but also overall manufacturing consistency and quality, they decided to put the weight inserts idea to the side and refocus. Over the next few years, they had 4 molds total approved by the PDGA. And things were going okay. It was a family business run by 2 brothers. But they both had full-time software engineering jobs, and it didn't take long before the competing priorities started to take away time from Ozone Discs. So, unsurprisingly, as happens with many side projects, Ozone Discs was put on the back burner. Until now. This is the Ozone Discs Andro C. What does Andro C mean? No clue. Here, though, in their premium semi-translucent plastic, it's a funky design. The disc looks shallow, but it feels great in the hand. And with flight numbers of 6.4 and -2.1, it fits right in this sweet spot where it should appeal to a wide variety of players. What's interesting though, is if you look really closely at the Andro C, you can actually start to see some remnants of this whole weight insert idea. Look closely along the rim and you'll see these small rectangles where weight inserts were intended to be. And if you look closely at the center of the disc, you can also see that there's just a little bit more plastic here, opening up options for varying weight distribution. What does all this mean for how it flies? Well, apparently, only good things. For Josh's arm, it is understandably on the more understable side, but not unusably so. It takes a moment to flip up and turn over, and then it gently holds that turn. But if you back off on the power, you can get some really clean lines, like I did. Smoothly drifting out before fading back. This 6-speed fairway driver should be on the radar of any low arm speed player looking for controllable distance. Huge thanks to Steve and D'Angelo from Ozone Discs for sharing so much about their story and being transparent about all the challenges they faced. He says that they have ambitions to continue to push the limits of disc manufacturing, and we'll get a sneak peek at that in just a moment. Now, though, let's talk about another manufacturer that had somehow eluded us, Third Coast Discs. The Third Coast, aka the Gulf Coast, gives us a major clue to where Third Coast discs are from, but it doesn't give us any clue about what's unique about their discs. That you find out as soon as you put them in your hand, because they are made from rubber. Now, I've felt and tested my fair share of rubber discs, from Elevation to Divergent, Vibram, DGA, and even recently Trash Panda's new Canyon. But honestly, none of them feel like these. Perhaps that's because Third Coast Discs has gone for precision when it comes to the feel and consistency of their discs. When it comes to rubber, Third Coast Discs are not messing around. They don't call them hard, medium, or soft like most companies rate the stiffness of their discs. No. Third Coast uses the shore hardness scale. Shore hardness is measured using a tool called a durometer. This measures the hardness of many non-metallic materials like rubber, vinyl, leather, neoprene, and more. Shore hardness scales can go from extra soft materials, similar in feel to a gummy bear or a gel shoe insole, all the way to extremely firm items like a hard hat or the wheel on a shopping cart. What's crazy though is that all disc golf discs plastics, the firmest plastic you've ever felt, all the way to the floppiest, super soft rubbery putter, all fit right here, between about 90 and 98 on the Shore A scale. Here's a more practical way to understand it. This is their 96A, which means it's on the harder side. And as you can see, yes, it's flexible, but it does take quite a bit of effort to bend it. This is 90A, and 90A is way softer and much easier to bend. Another crazy fact about the Shore hardness scale is that in almost every other manufacturing use, the difference between, say, 90 and 91 is quite significant. But something about disc golfers and our ability and sensitivity to the feel and flex and stiffness and grip of discs means that if we were to take a look at 6 discs, all technically rated at the exact same hardness, we could feel and find the differences between all of them. So, kudos to us, I guess. That's enough about Shore hardness, though. Let's talk about Third Coast's 2 discs, the Shore Break and the Swell. Beyond the rubber, these 2 putters have very little in common. The Swell is a straight neutral putter rated at 3300, while the Shore Break is supposedly a lot more overstable at 3303. But I know a disc that was available for years rated at 3303 that wasn't exactly overstable. So we'll see if that's actually true. Okay, yep, I see you, Shore Break. I see you. For me, regardless of the hardness, the Shore Break was very overstable. I gave it my best shot, but figured Josh would probably get a little bit more from it. And eventually he was able to push it a little bit straighter before that late fade kicked in. But all in all, the Shore Break is a properly reliable, overstable throwing putter. The Swell, on the flip side, is, well, not that flippy. Oftentimes, discs rated with 0 turn and 0 fade tend to be on the more understable side. But impressively, the Swell actually likes to fly pretty darn straight. With Josh's extra power, he was certainly able to get a little bit more variety from the Swell. That's all then for Third Coast Discs, but there's a little bit more in store for Ozone. Steven gave us an exclusive first look at what they're planning, and without going into too much detail, it's clear that they intend to give this whole weight insert idea its best shot. And I, for one, am excited to see another approach to innovating disc golf design beyond what we've already seen. Challenging the status quo and trying new ideas is how we push this sport forward. For 2 brands that I had never heard of, I was more than pleasantly surprised by Ozone Discs and Third Coast Discs. Which has me wondering, how many of you knew about these companies already? Let us know in the comments below. And also comment below any other brands that we've somehow missed. For Six-Sided Discs, I'm Greg, reminding you that if you take the time and look hard enough, there's still some undiscovered gems out there. We'll see you in the next one. What's interesting, though, is that if you look closely at the Andro C, you can actually see some
redo. Okay, what's going on?
At least you're consistent.
Yeah, consistently bad.
Shore hardness is measured using a...
Oh, very nice. Go in, drop. Whoa, spicy.
Ready.
I can't get it up high.
If you like this content and want to see more, please consider liking the video, subscribing to our channel, or becoming a member. Your support makes this content possible.